On Monday,
this is the CBS Evening News. Connie Chung reporting. Good evening. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher joined hundreds of Britons today in mourning the deaths of 93 soccer fans killed in the worst sports disaster in the country's history. British newspapers are calling the incident in Sheffield a national disgrace. Tom Fenton has details of the investigation and the grieving.
They came to the stadium with flowers throughout the day. Shocked fans, bereaved relatives and friends. They left messages of sympathy, even soccer club caps and scarves on the gates which led Liverpool fans to yesterday's tragedy. Prime Minister Thatcher came, clearly distressed to see for herself where and how it happened. She ordered a top-level investigation.
When you've got a crowd like this, you get too many. It is almost everyone loses control because you're swept off your feet.
It began just before the start of the game when thousands of late-arriving Liverpool fans were trying to enter the stadium. The police clearly lost control and then, fearing casualties, threw open two gates to relieve the pressure. Thousands of fans surged in and were funneled through a narrow tunnel into an already overcrowded section of the stands. Here they were caged in by security fences that prevented access to less crowded areas on either side or onto the field. The result was pandemonium. Fans were crushed to death while others tried desperately to save themselves by any means possible. Some then used billboards as makeshift stretchers to carry off the injured. Whatever else an investigation may show, preparations for this match were clearly inadequate. Crowd control procedures didn't work. Emergency procedures didn't work, and even the stadium, which is supposed to be one of the best in Britain, is antiquated and inadequate. Measures to prevent violence and keep opposing fans apart have made British stadiums resemble prisoner of war camps.
This government that we've got in England takes more notice of football. They think about football hooliganism, but they don't think about football safety. And there have only been a small number of arrests in British football grounds over the last few years, and yet they cage people up like animals.
At dusk, the Catholic Cathedral of Liverpool overflowed with mourners. Soccer is almost a religion in this economically depressed city that has little else going for it these days, but tonight, soccer and religion came together in a service for the dead. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Liverpool.
Soviet leaders called today for the rejection of regional nationalism, a growing problem for the Gorbachev government. Protesters in Moscow today heard demands for a public inquiry into the recent violence in Soviet Georgia that took at least 19 lives. Jonathan Sanders reports.
Led by human rights activist Andrei Sakharov, several hundred demonstrators turned out in the rain today, demanding an open investigation of the killings last week in Georgia. Who gave the order, one sign read. The demonstrators are demanding that those responsible be held accountable in public. In the Georgian capital of Tbilisi, Foreign Minister Edward Shevardnadze headed a delegation of official mourners at the site of the bloodshed. On the streets, the army is still enforcing a strict curfew. Pravda revealed today that the military commander in Tbilisi is claiming he opposed the decision to use force against the demonstrators. The commander is blaming dismissed party leaders for the decision. What concerns the demonstrators and many of the backers of Gorbachev's reforms is that the decision to attack the demonstrators did not come from Tbilisi. It was ordered by people very high up, people outside of Georgia. It's a provocation against Gorbachev, a provocation against perestroika. Soviet police at one point tried to interrupt the meeting, but the crowd shouted them down. After more speeches, the demonstration ended without further incident, which is more than can be said for the still unresolved tragedy in Soviet Georgia. Jonathan Sanders, CBS News, Moscow.
In Beirut, at least 20 people were killed in the bloodiest day since new artillery battles broke out last month. Police said about 40 shells and rockets a minute were falling on the divided city. Bill McLaughlin in London has our report.
The carnage in Beirut continues, seemingly the slow death of a city and its people.
The killing has been non-stop for a month as the two sides of Beirut, the Lebanese Christian East and the Syrian-controlled Muslim West, pummel each other with heavy artillery, tanks, machine guns. The death toll now stands at about 250. In this latest round of shelling, the Spanish ambassador and two members of his family were killed when Syrian gunners scored direct hits on his residence. While the young men fight, the very young, the old, the women take shelter in basements, huddling together, praying for their lives. During the brief interludes of ceasefire, people emerge from their shelters to survey the ruins and the rubble that their property has become. Beirut is perilously short of fuel, medicine, food, drinking water, and other supplies. 80% of Lebanon is without electricity. Ambulances scream through the deserted streets, but even getting to hospital is dangerous. This time, a direct hit at the door of Beirut's American hospital. The leader of the Christian community reportedly said today, Lebanon is falling apart, and with it, everything, including all human life. Bill McLaughlin, CBS News, London.
This was a self-proclaimed day of rage in Israel's occupied territories, and soldiers killed at least 3 Palestinian protesters. The demonstrators were marking the first anniversary of the assassination in Tunis of the PLO leader known as Abu Jihad. It's believed an Israeli hit squad was responsible. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the 2-year-old survivor of a mass slaying in California is under guard tonight, her father the object of a manhunt. And later on, Inside Sunday, terms of inducement, the draw of a college education.
Financial serenity, the confidence to spread your wings. The Travelers gives 1 out of every 6 Americans this financial peace of mind, with a broad horizon of growth opportunities and the overriding promise of insurance protection. The Travelers, you're better off under the umbrella.
It's a weather delay.
There are headaches.
Now the computer's down.
And headaches. There's aspirin and Anacin. The Anacin aspirin formula relieves headaches better than regular aspirin.
Headache better?
Not just better, better.
Anacin, better relief.
One card lets you call from anywhere in your calling area to virtually anywhere in the world and pay the same as if you were calling from your desk. So now you can have the biggest office in town because the town is your office. The MCI card. It is America's business card.
Now at Red Lobster, one great thing deserves another and another. Introducing our great seafood trios. For a limited time, find 6 new trios starting at $7.95. More of everything you crave. Like 3 great tastes of lobster, a new trio of shrimp and crab. Something for everyone. Starting at just $7.95. Kids' dinner, $1.95. Don't miss the great seafood trios at Red Lobster. And don't forget Secretary's Week. Celebrate with lunch at Red Lobster.
Authorities are still searching tonight for Ramon Salcido, the California man accused of killing 7 people, including his wife and 2 daughters. A 3rd daughter, whose throat was cut from ear to ear, is recovering under police guard. John Blackstone has more.
While the massive police manhunt continues throughout California, there has been no confirmed sighting of the suspect, Ramon Salcido. But the gruesome trail of murder has become even more shocking with the discovery late yesterday of Salcido's 3 young daughters, all with their throats slashed. The girls, all under 4, disappeared when the murderous rampage began. Miraculously, when a man visiting the county dump found the girls at the bottom of an embankment, one was still alive.
It was strange just seeing 2 dead bodies with a little girl sitting next to them. And so I asked her where Mommy was, and she started crying. Just little whimperings.
The survivor is Carmina in the middle, age 3. She told a horrifying story.
She indicated that she had witnessed her father cut the throats of her sisters, and that she too, her throat was cut by her father.
Guards were posted at the hospital amid fears of what the father might try next. Carmina came out of surgery in serious but stable condition to be greeted by toys and affection from strangers.
If I could, I'd take that baby home with me. I think it's possible.
The search for Ramon Salcido remains concentrated in Northern California. The killings began there Friday morning with the brutal deaths of Salcido's wife, her mother, her two sisters, and Salcido's boss.
Danger to everyone, believe me, because he is, just his acts are that of a totally insane individual.
The search stretches as far as the Mexican border, where patrols on both sides are on the lookout. Salcido has friends and family in Mexico, and authorities believe his most likely escape route is south. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
The House Ethics Committee will release a report tomorrow morning that is expected to charge Speaker Jim Wright with financial misconduct. This could lead to Wright's ouster as Speaker. Today, Wright's likely successor, Majority Leader Thomas Foley, said he is sure the Speaker will be exonerated. Surrogates for President Bush today were talking up his new budget deal with Congress. White House correspondent Jacqueline Adams reports.
American taxpayers recovering from this year's tax bite can take heart from President Bush's new 1990 budget blueprint. Just as he'd promised throughout the campaign, there are no new taxes. The budget, however, does call for $5.3 billion in new revenues, which the president wants to raise with yet another campaign pledge, cutting the capital gains tax paid by businesses and wealthy investors.
The whole purpose of cutting a capital gains tax is to encourage investment that creates jobs, that keeps growth going.
That was the Bush team's loud, clear battle cry today. Despite widespread congressional opposition to cutting the capital gains tax, the president is determined to fight for it.
Capital gains isn't a pipe dream. Capital gains has I would say, perhaps 60-40, maybe even 70-30 chance of being part of the ultimate agreement.
President Bush has taken the position that we need more tax cuts for the rich, but Congress isn't going to pass that.
In fact, McIntyre says tax incentives passed in 1981 failed miserably to increase business investment. Instead, he thinks the answer is raising taxes on the richest Americans. A 1% increase, he says, would generate $19 billion a year.
I think that's going to have to be asking the people who had the tax party for the last 8 years to start paying for it.
But Congress isn't going to pass that either, at least not yet. Both the tax writing teams and next year's budget negotiators are about to sit down again. But so far, no one's willing to take the political heat for calling for higher taxes. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, the White House.
200 years ago today, George Washington left his Virginia home for New York to be sworn in as president. The scene was recreated today at Mount Vernon amid pomp and pageantry. George once again bade adieu to, quote, domestic felicity. But this time, as Washington rode off to the Big Apple, felicity turned to calamity.
Ordinary windows versus windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. See the windowscaping experts only at the Pella Window Store.
My favorite city in the world, Old San Juan.
Let me show you the rhythms that echo through the night. Let me show you a chef who knows more delicious secrets than stars in the sky. Let me show you a culture 500 years strong, and how this ancient city can capture the heart forever.
Puerto Rico, the shining star.
Having a baby at 40 was a big thrill. Losing the weight, that was tough. That's why I went to Diet Center. They helped me to lose weight by eating real food. It's a diet that fits into my busy lifestyle. And they didn't try to make me buy anything that I didn't want or need. They were just there for me every day, giving me lots of attention. You know, the star treatment. That's how they treat everyone who walks through the door. Call Diet Center. You'll feel the difference.
Ordinary windows versus windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. See the windowscaping experts only at the Pella Window Store.
Millions of high school seniors are on mailbox vigil this week, waiting for word that they have been chosen by the college of their choice. Tonight on Inside Sunday, a look at higher education, why so many go for it sooner or later, and how they pay for it or do not. First, going to college as a matter of course.
is this idea of geographical?
When 21-year-old Patrick Larvey graduated from high school in Casper, Wyoming, it was momentum, not motivation, that sent him on to college.
I never really thought about it too much. My parents went to college, so I just somehow grew up believing that all people went to college and that it was something a person did after high school.
He's not alone. In this country, 55% of all high school graduates go on to college. 30% of all working Americans have at least a college diploma. But some argue that by making a diploma available to so many people, the degree itself has been devalued.
Swarms of people now have college degrees. It is no longer a terribly distinguishing characteristic. It is much more a taken-for-granted characteristic.
One big reason, college graduates can expect to make about twice as much in annual salary as high school grads. And it's that economic fact that motivates most entering freshmen. A survey conducted by UCLA shows that being well off financially has gone up 30% as a life goal since the 60s, while developing a meaningful philosophy of life has dropped in importance from above 80% to below 50%. But Peter Pouncey, president of Amherst College, argues it doesn't matter why people say they go to college, it's what they get out of college that's important.
It sets you up for life with an ability to think with confidence in your own thinking powers, in your imagination.
Whatever the reason, the notion of sending so many people off to college is relatively new. The GI Bill rewarded millions of World War II veterans with a higher education, and at a time of full employment, kept them from flooding the labor market. Those ex-GIs changed the face of higher education forever.
Well, in America, pretty much everyone, I think, is encouraged to aspire to it, and that's right.
Wrong, say the critics. People should continue their education, not because they have to, but because they want to.
All right, who wants to learn more? Or who has a specialized career goal? Or who is interested in finding out some more things? And I would say college is for you.
I don't think we really know or can predict who's right for college, who's going to profit from it.
And anyway, educators say it's what happens after college that counts.
What we're meant to do is to set up a whole nation full of lifetime learners.
For Patrick Larvey, a junior at Sarah Lawrence College, the process has already begun.
The experience was like waking up from a long sleep. I was astounded because education, which had been a drudgery for 13 years for me, more or less, was suddenly a joyful experience.
It should be noted that while more than half of all high school graduates do go on to college, the figure for blacks right now is only about a quarter. Inside Sunday continues in a moment on the CBS Evening News.
Why a Canon color laser copier? Why a Canon color laser copier? Because only a full-color copy of a full-color original is a copy. The Canon color laser copier. Digital color makes the difference. Call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
The truth is, heart specialists concerned about aspirin irritation recommend Ecotrin over Bayer to help prevent second heart attack. Consult your doctor about the only brand of aspirin that's safety coated to protect your stomach. That's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
Grandma, isn't this fun? Oh.
I want my Serta.
Get a Serta Perfect Sleeper. The exclusive Serta surface will spoil you for sleeping any other way.
I want my Serta.
When your coffee's smooth and easy, like Sunday morning, and it tastes your way.
It's necessarily Nescafe, great coffee blends to taste your way. That's necessarily Nescafe.
As the American population ages, so does the college population. Some students are starting college later in life. Others are going back in search of even higher education and higher income. Terrence Smith reports on the older college try.
Brooks Honeycutt is back at school, studying psychology at Georgia State University after a 17-year break as a backup vocalist with rock groups.
I began to look around and say, what am I going to do when I'm 50? I didn't see a lot of 50-year-old background singers.
Brooks Honeycutt is part of the fastest growing segment of the student body here at Georgia State and at universities across the country. The so-called adult student, men and women over 25, who today make up 45% of all college enrollment.
They use learning like they use their checking account, so they want to use the information now. They're seeking entry into new positions, new careers, changing jobs, and they need the credentials to move forward.
And universities, confronting a demographic dip in the pool of graduating high school seniors, are aggressively marketing their wares to older students.
We offer the associates in applied science degree also.
To ease their return to campus, schools are providing special services such as flexible class schedules, refresher courses, and daycare centers. One reason? Adult students as a group usually get the best grades and treat school as serious business.
They're very goal-oriented, and they want to make sure they're getting their money's worth out of their educational dollar.
What about marathons and stuff where it can be stressful?
Brooks Honeycutt graduated magna cum laude last year with a degree in psychology and now is working on her master's. But returning to college at age 36 was not so easy.
It was like a nightmare when I first went to class. The bright lights, all these people I didn't know, a lot of them younger, a strange professor, a subject I never had. I'm going, I must be nuts. What am I doing here?
But her hard work produced results.
I won the freshman chemistry award at 37.
Now, Brooks wouldn't dream of giving up her studies even after she gets her master's.
I would guess that I'll get out and work a few years and then go back and see if they'll take me in the PhD program.
If she does, and if the current trends continue, Brooks will come back to a university where fully half the students are fellow adults. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Atlanta.
Government-backed loans have made higher education available to millions of Americans, but there are abuses. While students take advantage of the loans, some schools take advantage of the students. When that happens, Richard Schlesinger reports, there is no payoff for the graduate and often no payback for the government.
Income and expenses.
Student loans have turned into one of this country's biggest high-risk industries. Of the $10 billion loaned every year, about 10% of the students in colleges default. But 37% of trade school students never pay back.
That's a waste of taxpayers' money. In fact, that money spent on defaults constitutes the third largest program in the Department of Education, and that's an outrage.
Debbie Ferris says she's outraged that she can't afford to pay back her loan. She enrolled in a trade school to learn computers. Instead, she learned the oldest lesson in the book, buyer beware.
How many computers were there in the classroom?
6.
And how many students?
About 15.
Did you ever get to sit in front of a computer?
Never.
Did you ever get to use it at all?
Not once.
Debbie Ferris left school and is now working part-time at a Brooklyn catering house. Even though she never learned computers, she is still responsible for her student loan. She owes $3,000 now and makes too little to pay it.
Debbie's story is a very typical one that we hear every day. The bottom line is that no one's taking responsibility for protecting consumer and student rights.
Many trade schools are under investigation, suspected of teaching students nothing more than how to complete loan applications. The students rarely learn skills, rarely get good jobs, frequently have no choice but to default on their loans. At one point, the U.S. Department of Education was getting so many complaints from trade school students, it set up a special toll-free hotline. The number was easy to remember, 1-800-MISUSED. To crack down on misuse of the student loan program, the government will announce new, tougher regulations this month as a way to protect students and taxpayers who ultimately end up footing the bill for student loans that never get repaid. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
One final note to college loan defaulters. The federal government and a growing number of states have the power to withhold tax refunds from people who have not paid back their student loans.
U.S. Sprint proudly announces fiber optic 800 services for businesses large and small. No matter what you're selling by phone, your customers will sound closer and your calls will cost less. Get America's only nationwide 100% fiber optic 800 service for your business. Call Sprint now and talk with the best.
What a relief. The doctor said no surgery for my hemorrhoids.
That's great.
Yeah, they're not that serious. He said use Preparation H.
You can often relieve pain and itch for hours and help shrink swelling of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues with Preparation H, also a new cream.
Gas pain, bloating. Gas-X has the strongest, fastest relief ingredient. Painful gas is like beer bubbles. Add the leading antacid. Add Gas-X. Only Gas-X gets rid of the gas. The strongest, fastest reliever for gas pain and bloating. Gas-X.
Cash or charge?
We interrupt this purchase for a reminder.
I've got to have it.
There's still one more place to comparison shop.
I don't know where to start.
Here, by choosing the card that actually pays you cash. Cash back for every charge. The Discover card.
That's the one.
It's perfect.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
There's a place in the Midwest where the big bands never stop playing. Gary Reeves has the story.
There is a secret hidden in the small towns of rural Iowa. Ballrooms that almost magically turn old people into young lovers.
I had heart surgery, and then I've had 3 bypasses, and I'm now wearing a pacemaker. And that's what keeps you young, dancing.
The formula is a simple one. Take a hardwood dance floor, add a live big band playing the music they fell in love to, and the years just disappear.
I feel like I'm 20 years old. See, and I got a nice girl to go with me right here.
Older people come here with canes, and the first thing you look out on the floor and you don't see no cane.
These old dance halls were built when big bands were the rage and these dancers were young. 20 of the ballrooms survived because in Iowa, the aging customers keep coming back.
And ask you very confidentially,
We're like this, you know, we dance.
It's that every Sunday night. Get a clean bath and get ready to go.
After playing these ballrooms for 30 years, band leader Al Welch thinks he knows why the crowds are growing.
All the kids are raised, it seems like, now, and they're out looking for something to do again now like they did when they were young.
Keys, you ready to go? Okay.
So hardly a week passes that farmer Howard Sandine and his school teacher wife Ruth don't dress up and head for the Lake Robbins Ballroom to dance.
We just enjoy being together and dancing.
It's something that creates a closeness, I think, that is hard to beat.
Hey, happy anniversary!
Hey, that's right, your anniversary, number 1.
Some of them are up in their 80s. It's amazing. It keeps them young. Gives them something to live for.
Happy birthday, dear Frank.
The birthdays and anniversaries measure real time. Frank Andre just turned 82. But here on these shiny oak floors, everyone is 20 forever.
In the meantime, in between time, ain't we got fun?
Gary Reeves, CBS News, Clear Lake, Iowa.
And that's the news. Dan Rather will be here tomorrow, and later tonight, Bill Plant with the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Connie Chung in New York. I'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining us, and for all of us at CBS News, good night.
This is CBS.